Brought to you by Surfshark VPN.
Every time you log onto the internet without a VPN, you are putting yourself at risk. Online privacy is more important now than ever before. And you might be thinking, well, why do I want anonymity? You know, I've got nothing to hide. Okay, well, tell you what, I'll make you a deal. How about I come to your house and I just stand outside your window and just peer inside your house all day? You know? You're not doing anything wrong. You have nothing to hide, right? Everybody has something to hide. It doesn't mean you're up to no good, but you've got to use a VPN. Your online habits are nobody's business. And I just switched to Surfshark myself. They actually came offering a sponsorship, of course, but after trying out Surfshark, I actually got rid of my old VPN, and I'm totally on board with Surfshark now. Lightning fast speed, an absolute truckload of servers to connect to all over the world. It's one of the most intuitive interfaces ever. You can connect to a whole other continent and use the internet as if you're on the other side of the world, and then open up Netflix or Hulu or any of those other ones you subscribe to and just see all the crazy amount of titles that you can only get with a VPN. So right now, if you follow the link in the description and you use promo code NightDocs, you'll get not only 3 months absolutely free, but 83% off of a standard plan. They are so confident in their product that they not only give you a huge discount and 3 months for free, they even offer a full 30-day money-back guarantee. So not only is there no risk at all, you won't even have to pay for 3 whole months after you sign up because they are that confident in their product. Once again, promo code NightDocs, link in the description. On with the show.
I admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my tendency to be too honourable, but that's just the way it is. Please clap.
Prince Andrew. This freaking guy. Where to even begin to talk about this nightmare of a human being?
It is a scandal that refuses to go away and one that has shaken the royal family to the core.
As Virginia Giuffre tells it in her first interview on British soil, is that she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17 years old.
He's been in the news for some truly awful stuff, which we will get into, but we're not going to spend too much time dwelling on the stuff that you already know if you pay any attention to the news at all. But when you know the kind of life that he's led up to this point, it puts moments like his incoherent train wreck of an interview that he gave the BBC in kind of a new light.
Do you regret the whole friendship with Epstein?
Now, still not.
Nobody who knows the details of his pathetic life story could really be surprised at how catastrophically he has imploded on the world stage.
With the Queen's approval and agreement, the Duke of York's military affiliations and royal patronages have been returned to the Queen. The Duke of York will continue not to undertake any public duties and is defending this case as a private citizen.
He's never been far away from controversy, but his connection with Epstein, that ill-fated friendship, has inflicted the greatest damage on his reputation as a member of the royal family.
So let's start with the obvious. These people do not live like you and I. In fact, it's difficult to even have a frame of reference for the kind of privileged lives that members of the royal family lead. These are people whose every whim is attended to by an army of servants and attendants paid for by the UK taxpayer, living in such comical excess that it baffles the mind. Like this article from the Daily Mail mentioning the fact that Prince Charles has a dedicated servant who holds a cup for him to pee into when he gives a urine sample.
Here we got Michael Fawcett. Now, Michael Fawcett is a man who squeezed toothpaste on Prince Charles's toothbrush for him, who held a urine bottle for him to pee into. Those two are very, very close indeed.
So let's take a detailed look at the 0 things he has accomplished in his miserable life and chart the path of destruction one spoiled man-child has wrought under the protection of an archaic, out-of-date, useless institution like the British royal family, a group of people who through no merit of their own inherit a lavish life of close to no value to be just Disneyland mascots for the UK. And as awful as Andrew seems to be now, we're going to take a look through his life story to see the simple truth that he has always been this way.
For here is Prince Andrew, 7 months old, as bonny a baby as any proud parents could wish. And these are the first pictures in color taken of the infant prince.
Born on the 19th of February 1960, Andrew was the first child born to a reigning monarch in over 100 years. The second son of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, he was born into a pampered life full of servants and privilege. And unlike his older brother Charles, who was said to be polite and shy and reserved, Andrew was a tantrum-screaming, boisterous, entitled bully. Someone born into the wealth and privilege of a future monarch, but with none of the responsibilities or expectations that were attached to it. As a child, he had no less than 7 nurseries spread across 4 palaces, and a team of footmen and servants to take care of everything that his little heart desires. He was so pampered that even his nanny had servants attending to her on backup. While he was affectionately referred to by his servants as Andy Pandy, and known for being a sweet and cute little boy, palace staff quickly changed their nickname for him to that Little Imp, as he grew older and learned how to throw tantrums, which he did a lot, tormenting all of the hired staff all around him. And he was quite a little handful, but none of that was on display when he was around his parents. Referred by many to have been Elizabeth's favorite son, the screaming tantrums gave way to polite and quiet playing while in her presence. Never a glimmer of the hell spawn that he was when she wasn't around. His overjoyed mother delighted in taking him on walks to play on one of his personal playgrounds, give him riding lessons on his first pony named Mr. Dinkins, never seeing the boy's screaming, obstinate tantrums that he would save for everyone but her. Andrew was shielded from discipline and responsibility at every turn. At 8 years old, when he was sent to Heatherdown, a prestigious school in Ascot, he was soon known as a boisterous, bruising bully, just a nightmare of a f***ing kid to both fellow students and teachers, and they couldn't do anything to a royal prince. Any kind of discipline had to be done through a super complex bureaucratic process that involved the headmaster.
You have your own McDonald's?
And as Andrew flexed his royal status and rained terror on all around him, his mother, the Queen, put it, Andrew isn't a bit shy, while his father, Philip, proclaiming that his son was, quote, a natural boss. This kid had everything. He had famous celebrities that would entertain at his birthday parties. He got gifts everywhere he went. And the worst part of it is that he appreciated none of it. I mean, this drives me crazy. This kid got a custom-built, kid-sized James Bond car, custom-built for him by Aston Martin.
I want it now!
That nut.
Prince Andrew is 9 and has gone to boarding school. Unlike the Queen herself, this generation of royal children is not being educated privately by tutors.
Well, his time at Heatherdown didn't last too long, and pretty soon he had to switch schools, and he went to another one called Goldston. And the fresh slate there didn't really help him too much, and he had a really difficult time making friends because everybody just saw him being a dickhead all the time, constantly pulling the "I'm the prince" card every time anybody was around him and he wanted anything his way. And in an effort to try and make friends, he would tell dirty jokes to the other boys, but the thing was he was laughing at his own jokes so hard and so loud that nobody could ever hear the punchline, and everybody just started calling him the Sniggerer.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
And by the time he finally reached puberty, when he just could not have been more of an insufferable twat as it was, he got hot. God damn it. Boy, he learned how to lay on the charm with the devilish smile. Everywhere he went, it was just Beatlemania about this little piece of shit. If you've heard the nickname Randy Andy, well, that came around this time. In fact, it was so crazy because he was going to this school in Canada where there was a ratio of about 3 boys to every 1 girl that was going to the school.
This is beat. Total sausage party.
I think.
But of course, being a prince, he's not going to have any problems finding a date. He had this revolving door starting at even high school where he had a different girlfriend just about every other day. So finally making it through high school and all that, and as time passed, the queen wanted him to become, an official working royal and have more of a public role and let him start representing her at events. And that disaster of a choice was made crystal clear on December of 1988.
Tonight, here in Lockerbie, the town is settling down as best it can to a tragedy which has destroyed Christmas for the community. Local people say they can hardly find the words to express their grief at a catastrophe many of them actually witnessed. Like an earthquake, said one. The sky seemed to be raining fire, said another. The day none of us will ever forget.
Pan Am Flight 103 was flying over Lockerbie, Scotland, when some jackass from Libya blew a bomb on board, killing all the passengers and many of the people that were on the ground that the wreckage crashed on top of. The genius plan was to send the Queen's dipshit favorite son to give comfort to the victims of this terrible tragedy. As bad of an idea that you might think this was, wait until you hear what he said. Looking out over the grieving locals, Andrew opened his stupid face and said,
I suppose that statistically, something like this has got to happen at some stage.
Oh my God, you're such a dumbass. So if you thought that the worldwide condemnation of his complete lack of empathy would have taught him anything, in 2009, he actually lobbied for the bomber's release on behalf of his super good buddy, Muammar Gaddafi. That's right. The Lockerbie bomber was released quite possibly because of Prince Andrew and his good buddy, Muammar Gaddafi. And yeah, don't worry. We're going to talk about his friendship with Gaddafi and other super awesome despots like that later on. Now, you may have noticed the uniform. Well, one of the only bright moments of Andrew's life was his military service in the Royal Navy, where he served as a helicopter pilot. With his older brother having graduated with a university degree, Andrew was keen to make a name for himself as well as leave his mark on the world. And having jerked around pretty much his entire academic career, achieving grades that would make it difficult for him to get into Arizona State, his prospects for Ivy League schools like Cambridge were looking pretty grim. After a realistic exchange with an admissions tutor, he announced he would join the Navy since it would be the way for him to get the greatest intellectual challenge.
His Royal Highness Prince Andrew. His helicopter is a lynx which he's nicknamed the Hussy.
So limited cognitive abilities aside, Andrew had a pretty good run actually in the Navy.
Is he coming out?
At first he didn't come out, but stayed below decks. Then the Navy produced him, mainly for the benefit of Baltimore TV stations, in front of the helicopter where his pilot's seat was apparently under offer. And the predictable question whether he expected to be meeting the local girls.
I suspect that is probably inevitable, because we don't bring our own with us, unfortunately.
Even seeing combat during the Falklands conflict.
It's terrible. I mean, really, you should have talked to it for 48 hours after coming to sea. But it's terrible. I mean, you're going away and leaving what you love behind.
And yeah, he brought it up whenever he could to score points, even claiming a mysterious, unheard of medical condition in his famous BBC interview, denying that he had so much adrenaline during combat that he lost the ability to sweat.
She described dancing with you, and you profusely sweating.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, and that was yes, I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at. And I simply, it was almost impossible for me to sweat.
So he couldn't have been sweating all over Virginia Roberts while dancing.
What is this medical condition?
Well, it's an extraordinary claim. And as for the adrenaline thing in the Falklands, it doesn't make sense because sweating isn't mediated by adrenaline, it's mediated by acetylcholine. And there's...
Sounds like you're rather sceptical.
Absolutely sceptical about
but
this
it is
particular
but not
claim.
being able to sweat is a medical condition.
It's very, very rare indeed. I've never seen a case.
During his time in the Navy, he tried to marry a porn star, but mom said no.
Famously, he dated beautiful brunette actress Koo Stark. It turned out that, not not only was she an actress, but she'd actually appeared in some pretty risque movies.
So he married another lady named Sarah Ferguson, a feisty redhead that seemed just as much of a party animal as he was.
At last, I have the turn to talk. All these men around here. Love you. I'll see you later.
It was really honestly a perfect match. Even the Queen liked her. And she doesn't like anybody her kids or grandkids ended up marrying. She gifted the new couple a gigantic mansion called Sunning Hill Park that will be another really crazy story in a little bit. Everything seemed like Andrew was finally growing up. He had a wife, a couple of cute little niñas, an honorable career in the Navy, and it really seemed like he was going to keep his nose clean. And then he became the trade envoy for the UK. See, one of the challenges about being a royal is that you can't really just go out and get a job, since that introduces all sorts of conflicts of interest as well as it takes away from your duties as a working royal. So, what to do? Prince Andrew had a privileged life, yes, but making around $400,000 a year, even tax-free, isn't millions. So, being trade envoy was a golden opportunity to make some cash under the table and to get some private jet flying in around the world on the taxpayers' tab to try out some of the best golf courses.
This was seen as not on. And quite frankly, it wasn't on. It's not the sort of things you do. If you go out and you're there doing a job of work on behalf of UK PLC, you do the job of work, you come home. If you want to go play golf, and you make your own arrangements, get on an aeroplane, pay for the fare yourself and fly off. And unfortunately, he didn't do that.
As trade envoy, the idea was that he could be an unofficial ambassador to countries to grease palms and more of a ceremonial role as kind of a British mascot to just encourage trade around the world. Now, what actually happened, though, was that he used the opportunity to become kind of a corrupt fixer, somebody who would take under-the-table bribes and gifts from just about anybody, and I mean anyone. From the most corrupt despots accused of human rights violations to gun smugglers, there was just nobody that he wouldn't accept a bribe from, immediately getting in bed with some of the worst authoritarians and human rights violators in the entire world.
He's very thin-skinned, and he takes any kind of criticism extremely personally and angrily, in fact.
Can I ask you, as I inevitably must, about the criticism that is sometimes, even often, levelled at you in this job? The comments that are made about an extravagant lifestyle and so forth.
What is an extravagant lifestyle?
Travelling by private jet? Using helicopters when you could take a train?
But it is again, it is the maximization of my time for the best value for money, and that's the way that and I'm not the one that makes those decisions.
So let's take a moment to just go over some of these connections. One of his close friends was Tariq Kaituni, a man who was convicted of smuggling a submachine gun into France, allegedly to kill his former wife. Kaituni introduced Andrew to Sakr el-Materi, the notoriously corrupt son-in-law of the then dictator of Tunisia, Zina al-Abidine Ben Ali, who had one of the worst human rights records in the world and fled into exile in Saudi Arabia because literally the entire country revolted and kicked his ass to the curb. Andrew even hosted parties and meetings with Materi at Buckingham Palace. Materi then connected Andrew with Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, who Andrew went on vacation to stay with at least 3 times that we know of. Materi became a very close friend of Andrew's, even giving Princess Eugenie, Andrew's daughter, a necklace that was valued at around $20,000. Now, we don't really know what kind of business dealings Andrew supposedly might have had with Gaddafi, but like we mentioned earlier, Gaddafi did leverage his relationship with Andrew to get him to lobby on behalf of the release of the Lockerbie bomber, Abdelbasset al-Megrahi, who at the time of the bombing was allegedly a Libyan intelligence officer. There are even more shady connections, many of which I won't have time to get into today, but to talk about one last one in particular, we gotta talk about Fergie for a little bit. After his divorce from Sarah Ferguson, they remained really close. So close that they continued living together. And as Andrew gallivanted around the globe so much, billing the UK taxpayer upwards of £500,000 per year, gaining the nickname Air Miles Andy.
Every June, every royal correspondent gets to go to Buckingham Palace to look through the royal accounts, and we all go straight to the travel document, because that's the one we all understand. How much the royal train costs, how much those private flights are costing. And year after year, he would be at the top of the list.
Sarah was just as active, caught on camera by the News of the World, accepting a bribe from someone posing as a businessman, agreeing to a £500,000 wire transfer to get access to Prince Andrew.
£500,000 when you can, to me, open doors.
In Prince Andrew?
Yeah.
Is that deal?
Yeah.
He can't work anywhere because he's the Prince of England.
Yeah, but his job is trade, isn't it? Isn't his job?
Yes, but he beats the most amazing people.
I know, obviously.
And he just throws them my way.
He throws them your way, fantastic. Well, then you throw them my way.
Yes. But I've never said that.
No, I've understood it.
Yes. And that is the key to him.
Even accepting a cash down payment of $40,000 dropped right on the table in front of her. And what did she say when she was caught? Essentially, sorry, I was drinking.
Did you take the money? At one stage you had $40,000 cash sitting in front of you. Did you take?
Absolutely, yes. And it was given to me and I got it in the car and then returned it straight away.
Once the scandal broke?
As soon as I knew it was a scandal, not once it broke, Michael. But don't try and trick me now because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit.
And remember the marital mansion that the Queen gave them, Sunninghill Park? Well, it turns out that divorces for rich people can get a little expensive. After his marriage to Fergie ended, they found themselves in a situation where they needed a lot of cash. So they put up their marital home that had been a gift from the Queen, Sunninghill Park, for sale. The problem was, nobody wanted to buy it.
He wanted to get it off his hands, and it was on the market and wasn't selling.
So the property sat vacant for years while it was on the market. And then, lo and behold, a miracle happened when a buyer purchased the home for £15 million, a cool $3 million over the market value and asking price. And who was the buyer? None other than Timur Kilabayev, the son-in-law of the autocratic dictator of Kazakhstan.
And then, lo and behold, it was bought by one of the contacts he'd made through his travels, the son-in-law of the then president of Kazakhstan.
The palace, of course, denied that Andrew had done nothing wrong and had no part in the negotiations or sale of his own house, saying,
The sale of Sunninghill Park was a straight commercial transaction between the trust which owned the house and the trust which bought it. There were no side deals and absolutely no arrangement from the Duke of York to benefit otherwise or to commit to any other commercial arrangement. Any suggestion otherwise is completely false.
And while this may sound unbelievable, which it is, it was further undermined by the fact that emails were unearthed almost 10 years later, showing Andrew and his team deeply involved in negotiating the terms of the sale. And after all that, you'd think that the 12-bedroom mansion would have gotten some good use, right? Nope. It sat completely vacant for years, with no one moving in other than local wildlife. Like, for example, a colony of over 100 bats that took up roost in the dilapidated roof. It got so bad and it was so neglected that by the time it was finally demolished in 2016, everything of value had been stripped bare by thieves, including the stone-tiled driveway, the copper wiring in the house, pretty much everything of value, leaving it just a shell. Which makes you wonder, why did somebody pay $3 million over the value of the place with no intention to move in or do anything with it? Well, for the billionaire son-in-law of this Kazakh dictator, Andrew put in a good word for him at Coutts, the prestigious, exclusive British bank that the royal family uses, encouraging them to take on Kulabayev as a client. Andrew sent an email to the CEO of Coutts' parent bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, asking him to meet with the Kazakh billionaire as a favor. One source from inside the Royal Bank of Scotland told Daily Mail,
This was not, to put it mildly, a meeting that we would have been keen to take. Kazakh oligarchs are the sort of people we generally don't touch with a barge pole, regardless of how keen the Duke of York is for us to bring them on board. There are too many of what one politely calls compliance issues regarding the source of their enormous wealth. Also, Coutts has a policy of not bringing in new clients on the basis of referrals. It can create awkwardness if you decide to turn them down. So the bank would never have asked Prince Andrew to set up this kind of meeting, or have agreed to him sending an email like this.
And that's just a time it didn't work. Because through his connections to other shady businessmen, like, for example, David Rowland, who personally paid off thousands of dollars in debt owed by Andrew and his wife, Sarah Ferguson, Andrew pressured Bank Haviland to take on lots of sketchy clients that no self-respecting lover of human rights would ever want to touch with a 10-meter pole. Oh, and would you look at this? I just found another one from 2016. Looks like the UK MPs were calling for a probe of Prince Andrew's deals in Kazakhstan. So reading from this article here, it says, Prince Andrew ostensibly acted as a middleman, helping a Greek sewage company and a Swiss finance house pursue a £385 million contract in Kazakhstan. Andrew was allegedly going to be offered nearly £4 million to convince a Kazakh oligarch to support the bids. Interesting. Although Andrew says he first met Jeffrey Epstein through his friend Ghislaine Maxwell in 1999, his private secretary acknowledged that they go back way further to the early 90s. And like the other shady billionaires he befriended to get a slice from once in a while, this would turn out to be the one that finally brought the party to an end eventually. With one friend saying to Vanity Fair,
if Epstein could play Bill Gates and Leon Black, ostensibly the smartest people on the planet, members of the royal family are easy marks compared to them, and Prince Andrew is probably the lowest hanging fruit on the family tree. Putting Jeffrey Epstein with Prince Andrew was like putting a rattlesnake in an aquarium with a mouse. The rattlesnake may not eat him now, the rattlesnake may save him for later, but the mouse ain't gonna win.
In 2010, Andrew had a pretty big problem. His ex-wife Sarah Ferguson had run up the tab into the millions. Andrew had personally told his mother, the Queen, that they would not be the first royals ever to declare bankruptcy, and he would fix the problem. And that's where our good friend Jeffrey Epstein comes into the story. Andrew had been friends with him for years and had made numerous trips to his houses and even the island. But at this point, Epstein had just been released from prison for not keeping his egg-shaped penis in his pants around kids.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis? Sir, one witness described your penis as oval-shaped and claimed when erect it was thick towards the bottom but was thin and small towards the head portion and called it egg-shaped. Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr. Critton has stated, that this is I'm willing to continue. I hate to call him back.
Let me go on.
If Andrew was willing to rub shoulders with dictators, despots, and gun-smuggling dickheads, a kid diddler wasn't going to bother him. So Andrew flew to New York to see his pal and beg for $125,000 to pay off the wages of an employee that they couldn't pay off themselves. And he needed that money fast. And darn it, what do you know? A bunch of people with cameras caught him on camera, not just walking with him in the park begging for money, but actually catching footage of him inside his house. And although Andrew denies it, allegedly another purpose of the trip was to even celebrate Epstein's release with a dinner party with some of the biggest celebrities and media personalities, including Woody Allen and his stepdaughter-turned-wife Sun Yi, Katie Couric, George Stephanopoulos, Charlie Rose, with Prince Andrew being recognized as the guest of honor.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honor.
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I don't think it was quite as you might put it, but yeah, okay, I was there at a dinner, yeah.
Not only did Andrew go visit Epstein, he invited both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell to stay with him multiple times, even allowing them to stay in Windsor Castle, as well as the private Balmoral estate that only the innermost circle is ever allowed to be at. The point is that no matter how much Andrew tries to downplay this relationship that he had with Epstein, they were really tight. So tight that even after the infamous photos of Andrew walking with him in Central Park were made public, Andrew apparently started screaming with a family friend who was begging him to end the relationship. According to the friend who told Vanity Fair in 2011, Andrew stomped his feet and screamed at him with words that I literally cannot believe did not come out of a 5-year-old.
Stop giving me a hard time! You're such a Puritan! Jeffrey's my friend! Being loyal to your friends is a virtue, and I'm gonna be loyal to him!
Yeah, you did it. You obviously did it.
So the teddy bears. It turns out that Prince Andrew, who is, reminder, a 62-year-old man, has a collection of 72 stuffed teddy bears that he's extremely attached to and very particular about with his house staff. This man literally sleeps with a harem of stuffed teddy bears at night, and if housekeeping staff don't arrange them from largest to smallest in a very particular way, as seen on a laminated photo card that they have, Andrew will erupt with the hellfire of a screaming toddler stuck in an old man's body.
It had about 50 or 60 stuffed toys positioned on the bed. And basically, there was a card the inspector showed us in a drawer, and it's a picture of these bears all in situ on the bed. And the reason for the laminated picture was that if those bears weren't put back in the right order by the maids, he would shout and scream and become verbally abusive.
Round 1. Fight! Shoryuken!
There was once a gigantic fight between Andrew and Charles in 1999 over a bathroom. The 39-year-old Andrew moved his stuff into 51-year-old Charles's bathroom and decided it was his and he would not move his shit out. Over this extremely intense bathroom Cold War, the maid staff found themselves in just the most supremely awkward position ever, and they were told not to touch anything in that bathroom until the standoff had been resolved. This got so intense and so heated, and it went on for so long that the Queen herself had to finally step in and break it up between these middle-aged idiots, telling Andrew to get his shit and take it out of Charles's bathroom because it wasn't his, no matter how hard he insisted.
You lose.
There's a recent photo of Prince Andrew at the funeral of his father, Prince Philip, where Andrew has a pretty prominent black eye. There's even photos of Prince Charles noticing it and basically asking, "What the hell happened to you?" Well, the palace said they wouldn't be commenting on the source of the black eye, but it does kind of bring to mind some other anecdotal stories involving Andrew and his staff, all of which are, in my opinion, pretty in character about him. Throughout his life, Andrew has treated the hired help around him basically like they were subhuman, throwing tantrums when he was both a child and an adult. He once screamed at the maid staff to come open his curtains that were 3 feet away from him. He was never picking up his own clothes off the floor. He would routinely curse and scream at them for the smallest of infractions, slapping things right out of their hands, then screaming obscenities like, "Pick it the fuck up!" I mean, like, this man is so intense. Royal biographers usually use language like prankster to describe Prince Andrew, but I honestly think that's probably too polite of a term, with several stories of Andrew purposefully provoking footmen and staff to see how far he can push them, confident that he could hide behind his royal status and would not get hit back. At one time, a footman was actually provoked so strongly, he actually gave Andrew a black eye, which we unfortunately don't have a photo of, and evidently shoved Andrew into a pile of manure.
You got anything to say?
I hate manure.
So, just unpack that for a second. Think of the caliber of people that are hired to work for the royal family. How infinite their patience and zeal towards excellence must be to serve actual royalty with years of experience under their belts to be even given a chance at an interview. And then to finally get into that position and then get into an actual physical altercation with a member of the royal house. Andrew has not only gotten into physical altercations with staff, but with the recent death of music legend Meatloaf, a story reemerged about a pretty intense encounter between him and Andrew. In 1987, the BBC put on a charity game show called It's a Royal Knockout, where 4 teams were each led by a member of the royal family. Meatloaf was on Fergie's team, and at one point, Andrew was really not liking the way that Meatloaf and her were talking.
Fergie wasn't exactly flirting with me, but she was paying attention to me, and I think Andrew got a little... I could be wrong, I'm just reading into this, you know? I think he got a little jealous. Anyway, he tried to push me in the water. He tried to push me in the moat, actually. So I turned around, I grabbed him, and he goes, "Hey, you can't touch me, I'm royal." I said, "Well, you try and push me in the moat, Jack. I don't give a shit who you are. You're going in the moat."
Jesus Christ, what was I even talking about? Oh, Epstein! Well, it turns out that not only does Andrew have an affinity for teddy bears, but he really likes dolls in general. One of the 3 times that he allegedly raped Virginia Roberts was when he was at Epstein's mansion in New York. Andrew reportedly giggled like a maniac, clapping his hands as Epstein brought out some kind of doll or puppet, something like that looked like Andrew. This profoundly gross man basically made lewd jokes with the puppet. Then Virginia was instructed by Ghislaine to take Andrew downstairs to the dungeon for a massage. Vanity Fair recounts this horrific scene, reporting that Virginia Roberts wrote about it in an unpublished book unsealed by court documents recently, which read, "He looked me up and down like a shiny new car on display, and he was about to take it for a test drive. It was easy to give them the reaction they desired. All I had to do was pretend to be entertained by their lewd gestures, and when Andrew cupped my throat with a doll made in his image, I only giggled away." Ghislaine wanted to take a picture of the bizarre scene and even got Johanna Soberg, another one of Jeffrey's so-called personal assistants, to come sit on his interview for the snapshot. I honestly can't, though. Like, is this real life? And that's just one instance. There's also the phone guy that did all the internet stuff on the island, who swears that he saw her with Andrew in the pool.
I started working on the island in 1999. It's probably around 2004. I saw Prince Andrew. He was at the pool. He was with, at that time, an unknown girl to me. She was young. She didn't have any top. They were engaged in foreplay. He was grabbing her and grinding against her.
There is so much to Virginia Roberts' lawsuit that it would take a whole other video to go over all the details and allegations. And I gotta say, the hardest part about making this video was keeping it focused on Andrew, because there's so many rabbit holes to his life and everything that surrounds him. You've got Epstein, the royal family, each member of them, the concept of having a royal family in general in 2022, the story of each and every horrible person that Andrew was friends with. There is so much there that I have to admit it's a little overwhelming to make a video like this and keep it focused. And now that Andrew has been stripped of his military titles and patronages, he is essentially just a rich idiot living in limbo, and not a soul on earth is going to feel bad for him. The depth of Andrew's immorality black hole is inescapable. No light can escape from this man. To peer into his soul is to peer into hell itself. I genuinely don't believe that he has any concept of right and wrong. He's never once been held to account for a single thing in his life. He very well may be an arguably functioning psychopath. I have to admit, I'm no expert, so for legal reasons, I should tell you that I really don't know what I'm talking about, but Andrew's possible mental illness is not the first one that the royal family has covered up. There's an entire branch of the family that was locked up in an institution so that the public would never find out about them. If you want to know a little bit more about this truly tragic tale, look up a little bit about Nerissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon, who were the Queen's first cousins. The royal family locked them away as invalids, and when Nerissa died in 1986, not only did no one from her family attend the funeral, her grave was simply marked with a plastic tag and a serial number until the secret about her existence leaked to the media. And then the royal family finally added a gravestone. So, what if Virginia Roberts actually wins the lawsuit?
Prince Andrew settles sex case with Virginia Roberts for $7.5 million. What happened here was his family forced him. Shut this whole thing down. Pay out whatever you got to pay out. We'll pay for it.
Will we see Andrew finally humbled and out on the streets trying to get a job like everybody else? Will he sign a deal like Fergie did with Weight Watchers and join an MLM like Avon? As hilarious as that would be, it probably won't come to that. If he loses everything, he almost certainly has cash stashed somewhere. Keep in mind, Fergie herself was listed in the Panama Papers. And even after all that, he still gets to live in his current house, pretty much rent-free, since he paid the Crown Estate a lump sum of $1.4 million for a 75-year lease, which means he gets to live in his 30-bedroom mansion for the rest of his life, with his rent already paid for, to the amount of about $339 per week, which is already taken care of. And so we see the tragic story of a man who, from birth, was cursed with immeasurable wealth, boundless stupidity, who was shielded from negative consequences from anything that he did by the royal family. This is a man that from childhood through adulthood has had everything his way all of the time. Had no appreciation for anything he ever got because there was always more. Delighted in the misery of others that he caused around him, and never had the capacity to think of anyone other than himself. Even in a moment of profound tragedy like the Lockerbie bombing, he was incapable of expressing actual human empathy as he stared at literal bodies of people that were on the ground. So, as his world is crashing down on him, it's not hard to imagine that at this moment, most likely, his narcissism prevents him from truly having any understanding of why he's going through so much. Even telling close people that are around him about his plans for a comeback once all this blows over, as he says. And the tears falling for his downfall will only be shed by himself and his spoiled children that won't get to call themselves royalty anymore because, unfortunately for them, their daddy, Prince Andrew, has always been terrible.
I've got my sense of purpose, but I've been